Yo, what's up guys? This is the homie Blady, and on this episode I'm going to talk to you guys about which commanders you should invest and which one you shouldn't invest, which one you should expertise, and if they're relevant in SOC KVK, known as Season of Conquest. So this video is specifically to the free-to-play players, the free-to-play on a small budget, and the whales. Mega whales doesn't really concern you because you guys are probably going to try to get rally captains and defense captains and everything. So anyways, let's just start off with Minamoto. In KVK 1, if you're a whale, definitely expertise him just because he's pretty cheap as a whale to expertise, and you're gonna need expertise legendary commanders to bring out there for KVK 1. For free-to-play budgets for Minamoto, you don't exactly have to expertise him. Just getting the first 2 skill is enough because he actually does a lot of damage, and the second skill has really nice passive like March speed and cavalry attack bonus. This is really good for, you know, rallying forts and doing quick damage, single damage targets to enemies. So for Minamoto, for free to play, get 5/5. That's it. For whales, expertise him definitely. You don't have to though, because he's only good for KVK 1 and maybe 2. Anyways, moving on for Hannibal Barca. So the only reason why I have him expertise is because this was before At the Flat came out. In my opinion, just unlock him and get the golden skulls, but do not expertise him. If you're a whale and you want to go above and beyond and expertise him just for KVK 1 and KVK 2, because that's where he's kind of relevant, that's where he's relevant, then go ahead. But me personally, I say do not expertise him just because this guy has no damage, even though the debuff is really good. But again, At the Flat, you know, she does it too. But Hannibal has no damage. He's got no passive buffs that gives him any sustain. So I would say no for Hannibal. Now let's talk about the MGE commanders. Julius Caesar, I would say do not touch him at all. Save all your resources, your speed ups, whatever you have, and start on Martel. Because the thing about Julius Caesar is that his expertise sucks. Like the expertise, it only lets you do 400 damage factor. He doesn't even do any damage. Although he does have sustain and troop capacity, he gives selfish buzz for only his troops. So for me, I would say hard pass on Julius Caesar. Okay, so now Charles Martel. This is like if you're like a diehard infantry fan, then yeah, I say get him, you know. But if you can wait for other better commanders to come out, then I say, you know, just do what you do. Just do what you can in the MGE and then use him as you see fit. My personal opinion, I say get him and expertise him, but I would say do not invest any gold heads into Charles Martel. Eventually, you can buy him in the daily thing. What is it called? The daily special offer. So I would say definitely expertise him, but do not put your golden heads in him. Next, so let me see. So expertise him, EXP. But like I said, don't invest any golden heads in Charles Martel. So anyways, the next one, Lsid. So Lsid, I would say do not touch him. Do not even do MGE. Just let it go. You know, he gives nice passive buffs, but all in all, his damage is just not worth it. Let me just bring him up for a second. Oh, where is he? Okay, so Lsid, you know, the first skill damage is 1000 damage, single target. That's just not good at all, even for KVK 1. Now, Lsid is very good in KVK 1 if you use him to like rally, you know, infantry, defense, structured, zones or flags or whatever. But for mega whales, he's worth it. But for everyone else, he's just not worth it because he brings nothing to the table. So for me, I would have to say hard pass on Lsid. Okay, so next one, Saladin. Saladin is very, very good. He's even good and relevant in SOC. He used to be like S tier class and everything. It still is for KVK 1, 2, and 3. He's just not as good as before because they kind of buffed Constantine. But for this guy, I would say do what you can in the MGE, and then so for the free to play on a budget, I would say 5-5-5-1, and then get him to level 60. And then for the whales, if you can expertise him, go ahead. But he's, like I said, he's one of those commanders that you don't want to put your golden heads into because he'll pop up in the daily supply. I keep forgetting the daily special offer. So I would say do what you can at NGE. If you have heads that you want to invest, then go ahead, but I don't recommend it. But if you do, like I said, only get 5-5-5-1, and then the rest of that just slowly buy him in the daily supply offer. So he's good. If you want to expertise him too, I say go ahead, just because he's still relevant in the SOC. So the next one, Constantine. Me, I don't have Constantine expertise, and I actually put in golden heads on him. It doesn't show. So I actually invested at least 200 or 300 for him, golden heads into his skill, and that was a big mistake for me. At the time, I did it because I had ego issues with Sunset, getting beaten, but now that I think about it, I definitely regret it. For whales, you can get him for Sunset, but that's pretty much it. He's a Sunset guy. And you're thinking, okay, but what if I should get him on the open field? I don't recommend him on open field because his buff, the only buff that he has is the 10% damage reduced AoE to your troops. And for me, I think that's very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not underpowered. That's very, it's not worth the investment for him. Now, for whales, if you want to give him just a little up for the Sunset, go ahead. But free to play on a budget, I say no. In my opinion, I would put an X on it, but at the same time, he's kind of relevant in Sunset. But if you don't care about Sunset, I would say just, I would actually say just X him out. But if you want to get some skills for a Sunset hero, then be my guest. But just a heads up, in SOC KVK Sunset, he's irrelevant. So moving on to Tommy. The first MGE of Tommy, I got second place. I could have gotten first place, but I let my buddy Run get it. So let's just talk about Tommy. Tommy is definitely one of those commanders, good for rallying for mega whales, and then for ruins in KVK 3, it's also good applying the debuff so everybody know which target to focus down. This is another one of my regrets. I actually got her up, and this is actually just, there's really nothing to talk about. She's a hard no unless you plan to rally with her, so that's definitely a no. Alright guys, so let's talk about Wheel of Fortune commanders. First off is Richard. My Richard is not expertised, and he's been like this since, I would say, KVK 2. Like, I've not invested in him. My regret is that I should have invested less in him because I don't really need him. I'm not really an infantry fan. I'm all about mixed troop. So for Richard, for the free to play with budget, I say unlock him. And for the whales, I say unlock him, but don't expertise him because he's kind of useless in my opinion. Maybe he's decent. He's definitely decent in KVK 1 with Richard and Sun Tzu, but KVK 2 and so on, he's just a big slow walking blob of, okay, come and kill me, I can't do anything, so just, you know. So in my opinion, Richard, do not expertise him. You can unlock him, get the first healing, get the first skill, maybe even get try to get the third skill, you know. And this and the attack bonus, like, why even give him an attack bonus, you know? Like, Richard doesn't even do any damage. I would say just unlock him, but don't expertise him. He's definitely good in Sunset Canyon, but he's going to be completely irrelevant. I would even say KVK2 and so on. People still using KVK2, but me personally, I don't. But then again, I'm an old player. I have like a lot of legendary commanders expertise already. So for me, I would actually say I wouldn't X him, but I wouldn't say expertise him or get anything. Now, moving on to YSG. This guy, you need him. This is the first commander that you need to expertise. So let's just put expertise right here. YSG. Everybody knows YSG. Even now in SOC, it's like one of the best commanders that you should have. Not only does this guy do a lot of AoE damage, but his AoE is in a circular AoE effect, and he does damage to 5 people, and his 4th skill gives 50% skill damage bonus. Like, that's you know, even now in newer commanders, they don't give 50% skill damage bonus like YSG. So it's a hard yes, get YSG. Okay, so anyways, next commander, Genghis Khan. I got Genghis Khan when equipments didn't even come out yet. So when equipments didn't come out yet, and when Constantine didn't even get that buff where towards cavalry, Genghis Khan was like meta. Like, if you're going to KVK2, you need Saladin and you need Genghis Khan, and you can just completely wreck infantry flag defenders, you know. But in today's 2022, I do not recommend Genghis Khan at all. He's just too squishy. If you get him expertise, he's still relevant in KVK2 and maybe even KVK3, but he's just not worth the investment. He's not worth the golden heads, and he's not worth the gems for Wheel of Fortune. So I would say unlock him, but do not get him, just because he's just too squishy and he's got no business in SOC. So for me, I would have to say hard pass, even though he's still pretty good in KVK 2 and 3. But the thing is, you want to save your golden heads for the commanders that you want to expertise and save them going to you know, take them to SOC. So let me see. So for him, X. Okay, so Alexander the Great. This guy, he really is the great, you know. He might even be the GOAT. Greatest of all time for some diehard fans. This guy, he's definitely expertise. And the thing that I love about Alexander is that he just gives... The reason why he's so relevant in SOC as well is because he has a lot of massive infantry, massive passive buffs. And even the march speed is crazy. 30%? Holy shit, you know? This guy is definitely for free-to-play players on a budget and whales. You guys need to expertise this guy. Put your golden heads in this guy. The reason why he's so good is because when you expertise him, you actually debuff 3 targets around him, so you can do more damage towards him. And the thing about him too is that when you do that, obviously whichever commander second to Alexander follow up would do that big damage, even more damage, because he debuffed them. So that's why you see a lot of popular pairs like Alexander and YSG, which is the most popular one, or Alexander Sun Tzu, or Alexander Mehmed. So this guy, he's definitely expertise. Now let's talk about Edward of Woodstock. This guy is a hard no. He's pretty much the same like I talked about Tommy. And he's one of my regrets too. You know, I got him. I thought he was cool and good, and what I missed out was the race requirement, which was 1350. I didn't pay attention to that when I spin on him for Wheel of Fortune, and yeah, needless to say, even now he's pretty useless to me because I just finished KVK 2. He's only really good if you have Tommy with him and he's rallying. So I'm not a mega whale, I'm not rallying, so for me it's a hard no. And for free to play players and for whales, it should be a hard no for you as well. So definitely X this guy out. Okay, so let's talk about the miscellaneous commanders. First of all, Mehmed, do not put your definitely go for him, but do not put your golden heads in him. For free to play on a budget, just get him on golden keys. Whales, you guys can buy him on the daily supply thing. You can get him, but he's not exactly the greatest. He does have AoE damage and skill damage boost, but I wouldn't say he's a must expertise. My Mehmed, I actually just expertised him like a year ago, and I've been playing since 2018. So yeah. So the next one, Cao Cao, he's really good in early game, like KVK 1, but he's mostly used for, just killing rallying forts and stuff like that. He's still pretty good, but the issue with Cao Cao is that the problem with Cao Cao is that cavalries are already like weak against infantry, and infantry is the meta for KVK 1, 2, 3. And then this guy, his expertise, even though he gets 25% increased attack, he still loses 10% reduced defense. So it's like a double-edged sword. For him, I say free-to-play players and on a budget, you don't have to expertise him. You can invest in him just like how Minamoto is. You can get like, try to get this 5 and then try to get this 5 too, because you want the march speed, because march speed really matters, and the attack bonus is pretty good. This, it's whatever. And then for whales, like, don't put your golden head into Cao Cao. If you want to expertise him, buy him on the daily supply thing. I keep forgetting what it's called. The daily special, but don't put your golden head on him. I did early on because, like I said, ego, got the best of me. So yeah, invest in him, but don't touch him. Don't put golden heads into him. So Frederick, that's a hard no. He's just garbage in KVK 1, 2, and 3, and so on. There's nothing good about him. Mulan, this is a tough one. Mulan, I think for the free to play on a budget, if you wanna, so this is the thing about Mulan. Okay, so if you want, the only way Mulan to be relevant is if you get Trajan. Okay, and if you don't plan on getting Trajan, then it's a hard no. But if you want Trajan and Mulan, then I would say free to play on a budget. This is a must expertise if you want Mulan. So you can't half-ass it. You can't be like 5-5-5-1, So this is a tough one. Whales, I think you guys should expertise her if you can. Free to play, don't even touch her if you don't plan on expertising her. Let's just move on. And then Ethelflaed, obviously, you're gonna get her on default. She's really good. Ragnar Lodbrok, yeah, that's a hard no. He's just bad. He's pretty much like Julius Caesar. Charlemagne, that's a no. And Wu Zetian, that's a no. Lubu, that's a hard no. And I'll explain to you why it's a hard no. One of our players in this kingdom, he's like 44 million power, and he actually expertise Lubu, and he said it's like the biggest mistake in the game, but he just had to do it because he was a Dynasty Warriors fan. But anyways, I already knew Lubu was a hard no because so the thing about him is that it's nice that he's got AoE damage, right? And he does massive debuff for 3 players for 3 seconds, or an expertise is it? Okay, so the problem with Lubu is that the AoE damage is just too bad. Like 1000, that's horrible. Mehmed does like 1350 if you expertise him. And then this guy, he only has 3 targets. He does 1000 AoE. The debuff is actually really strong, really strong. It can even be relevant in SOC. But the issue with Lubu is he's got bad damage. He's got, you know, this rallying passive is horrible. Like, that's it, 10 damage, 10% damage boost. And then the third one, the attack bonus is only 15%. 15%. And then there's RNG to proc it more. And obviously, if you have Dao Chan with you, you get a 120%. But even then, like, that's just horrible. This guy needs, what this guy needs is that he needs March speed, of course, and then he needs some sort of health or defense or a lot of attack boost. So this is why Lubu is horrible. So do not even like touch him. So he's like a hard no. Don't be tempted just because he was the most badass warrior in Dynasty Warriors. Okay, so anyways, let's talk about who's gonna be relevant in SOC or Season of Conquest. So going to Charles Martel, right? You can have argument that he'll be relevant in SOC because the museum buff will make him strong. But I still say hard pass on Charles Martel for SOC. So even for KVK 1, 2, and 3, if you want to expertise him, he's pretty strong. But going into SOC, I see him as pretty weak and irrelevant just because he doesn't do any type of damage. He doesn't do any team play buffs or any debuffs or anything. So for SOP, I would say hard pass on Charles Martel, even with the museum buff. For SOC, for Minamoto, even with the museum buff, I would still say hard pass. For Saladin, he's got utilities. So the thing about Saladin is that he will always be relevant just because he gives such good debuffs to slow enemies down by 50%, which is pretty OP. So you can just like, you know, swarm him down. So for Saladin, in my ball comp, I don't use him, but I do use him when I know that there's a very evasive player that keeps running. So I would say, yeah, he's worth it. Keep him. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people will agree as well. Richard, definitely no. Even in Sunset Canyon, he's irrelevant. YSG is definitely still, even to this day, S tier. Alexander, definitely keep him. Mehmed, if you're like, yeah, I say yeah, just because the museum buff makes him relevant. For Cao Cao, definitely no. At the flat, well, you can use her whatever if you want or not. Mulan, she's definitely relevant, but like I said, only if you plan to expertise her. Only if you plan to expertise her and if you plan to partner her up with Trajan. But other than that, if you don't plan to do any of that or you don't plan to get Trajan, then no. So let's look at the commanders that are relevant in SOC, right? They need to have great debuffs that make them relevant. They need to have AoE damage or some sort of AoE group support, and that's what these commanders have. Saladin has the speed reduction. YSG has the group AoE damage. Mehmed, great group AoE damage. And at the flat, AoE damage as well. Mulan, if you expertise her, she's going to be relevant as well. And that's pretty much it for this video. I'm going to make a part 2 and talking about SOC commanders, the new commanders, and what you should get and what you should not get. But that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully it wasn't that long. And hopefully you guys definitely watched throughout the whole video, because I made a lot of mistakes, wasting a lot of golden heads and wasting hundreds of thousands of gems in Wheel of Fortunes, and I don't want you guys to make the same mistake. So I hope this video helps you. See ya.